So another key points here is, so recommended load file size. So like whenever you are dealing with the Snowpipe, so we need to follow some best practices, make it our work smoothly. So like Snowpipe, as I mentioned, it is not a bulk load, right? So ideally recommended size is between 100 to 250 MB size. It will recommended for the Snowpipe continuous data ingestion. So like if you by mistakenly process the duplicate entries, then there is no other way. You need to clear out of those data from your Snowflake table. So and also, like for example, every 5 minutes I'm sending a files into my stage, and as soon as that file is received, the Snowpipe is going to process the data. But what if like my Snowpipe was due to some problem, it got stopped from last 1 hour. Okay, so now every 5 minutes or 10 minutes I'm sending a feed files into the stage, but my Snowpipe is not triggered from last 1 hour. Okay, by the time I realized there are multiple files are there into that particular staging area. So Snowpipe, you cannot guarantee like it is something like the first file is received and it should process only the first file. So if you are giving those files in a different names and all different folders, that is a different case. But if you are giving everything in the same folder, it will just randomly pick up and it will process it. So it will try to process it sequentially, but there is no guarantee on that. So the Snowpipe, it will try to pick up whatever the file is available at that time, and it will process it and it will load the data into the Snowflake. Is it clear? Anybody has any queries?
Sir, data duplication means?
Data duplication means like same data. Now, for example, I have received 100 records. I have loaded those 100 records into my table. So now, again, I have received the same file with the same 100 records, same data. So now, ideally, the Snowflake will prevent this data duplication. It will check if there are any is there is any file is already processed with the same name or not. If it is not processed, it will process it. If it is already processed, it will hold it. Now, for suppose I have processed in first load 100 records and next load I have changed my file name, but inside the data is same. So now, since it will just look at that file name and it will process it. So now became two entries for each entry. For example, employee table is there. There are 10 records are there. So if you insert twice into that particular table, automatically same record will be repeated, right? So that is called as a data duplication. Anybody has any queries with respect to the Snowpipe? So what is Snowpipe? When to use the Snowpipe? How we are going to trigger the Snowpipe? Is it clear? Or anybody has any confusion or anybody is not able to understand? Please let me know. So we'll see quickly demo for the Snowpipe by using an internal stage. So external stage, as I mentioned, like this SQS and SNS is a kind of a costly affairs. So we need to be very careful by using those things. So I will set up that and I'll show one demo for that external stage as well by using a Snowpipe. But the functionality is same. So first we'll see the internal stages. So now here I'm going to create a table. So I'm just creating a customer table and I'm creating a file format. I'm creating the stage. This is a standard wherever you go for whatever data ingestion, right? It is a best approach, recommended approach. So now if you see, I think is there, I'm going to place this particular file into stage. So now my data is got staged. See now this is the syntax. Create or replace pipe name, and when you are using auto ingest is true for external stages. Since it is an internal stage, I'm not using that. I just commented of that. So I'm going to create a pipe. Okay. So now if I want to, we have discussed about triggering this particular Snowpipe, right? See here, I'm not using any external stage. So basically, I'm going to manually trigger this. So now, for example, instead of every time manually executing this particular refresh command, so triggering in the sense I need to refresh this particular Snowpipe. So whenever I'm refreshing this particular Snowpipe, automatically it will pick up the file from the stage and it will load the data into the table. So now, for example, so now let me check for that particular customer table. There's no data. So now I'm going to refresh this particular pipe. See, whenever I refresh this pipe, automatically that particular file is sent for processing, which means it is processing now. It will take up 1 or 2 minutes. See, now the data is loaded into this particular table. See, this particular refresh I have done manually because it is an internal stage, but it is external stage. We are going to use the whatever I have shown the diagram, right? So if it is a S3, you are going to use a SNS or SQS. It is a Azure, it's going to use the event grid. If it is a kind of a GCP, you are going to use a publisher and subscriber methods. Okay, so now for S3, we'll see the external demo as well for this particular Snowpipe. Anyways, I'm going to show that one end-to-end demo for the project. So as part of that, I'll cover that also because I need to pay for that. So we'll see one time. So now see, now you might have got some doubt like, see, this is something like you are mentioning, it is a continuously automatically whenever as soon as that feed file is received into the stage, the Snowpipe should process the data, right? Why we are triggering every time? So this is because of internal stage. I did a manually. So if you want to automate this, you can schedule a task and you can call this every 1 minute. So now, for example, I'm setting up this. Okay. So now this task is created. So now what? I'm resuming this particular task. Okay. So now see, this is the 9 records already processed it. So now as soon as if I'm going to populate any new file into this particular stage, the Snowpipe automatically it will process the data. So let me do that. I'm just processing another 3 record as a new file. I'm just saving this file. Now customer one file is there. So now I'm going to load this customer one into the my stage table. Now this file is placed into the stage. So now you can go here and you can see customer one received. So now in customer table, I have only 9 records. So now automatically the new file, whatever is received, it will automatically process and it is going to be insert those records into this particular table. We'll give 1 minute because this task is going to run every minute, right? So we'll give, it will take couple of minutes initially. We'll see. So existing data is 9 records. So let's wait for a couple minute and we'll see. Let's schedule, let it run. should run this latest run, then we will go there and we'll see. So this is the task history. We have already discussed about the tasks, right? So how we can see that task execution status? Is it like successfully completed or not? What are the errors and all? We'll be able to see from this particular task history. So I'm just seeing the what is the latest run. Till it is showing as a schedule. Wait for 1 minute. Okay. So now this particular thing is completed. So now let me see. Earlier it was 9. The remaining 3 additional new records, 3 records populated. Now in 9 plus 3, it became 12. Right? So now, for suppose you are going to ingest another file. I'm just removing this also, and I'm going to save it as a customer2.csv. Okay. So now I'm going to place this file. This file also staged. So now if you see, I have total 12 records in this table. As of now, I have total 12 records. So now customer2 file arrived here. So as soon as this file is arrived, I have scheduled the task to refresh that Snowpipe. It will automatically process the data. Since it is internal stage, we are manually triggering this. But if it is external stage, you can use some cloud service which will send the alert notification so that the Snowpipe automatically refresh it and it will trigger. So now need to wait 1 more minute. So let's complete this particular latest one, 1920. Select. It's 1920. So I'm waiting for that. Let's complete that 1921. Then we'll go and we'll see. 1921 is completed. Let's see. No, not yet. Maybe next run it will pick up and it will process it. 12 records are there. We'll give 1 more minute and we will see. Maybe it is executing that one. So it's taking time. Hold it for it. What happened this task, we'll see. It is succeeded. Have refreshed it. No errors. 22 is successfully completed. Is it this refresh is done or not? Still is showing 12 records. Ideally, those 2 records should come. We'll see what happened here. task is executed successfully, right? 23 also succeeded. Okay. Still only 12 records are there. Why that third file is not processed? Is there is any name have given same or it's given two, right? Okay, fine. So now we'll see. Now this is the case. We need to troubleshoot it. Like so, when I'm seeing the task is executed successfully, but somehow the data is not loaded. So how we can check like is there is any something is wrong with the pipeline and all? So one is you can use pipe usage history. When you trigger this, you'll get to know when you have used how many credits you have consumed for that pipe, snow pipe consumption and all. So two times it got triggered successfully. Third time is not processed. We'll see what is that. Is it the pipeline? What is the pipeline status? Is it running? Execution status is. So this is a common thing we'll check. Is that pipeline is sometimes it might be failed with the some different error. So here the status will show as a failure. So if it is a failure, then we need to see why it got failed and what was the wrong. But here it is showing as a currently running execution status and the file path is a customer 2. So this is the file is currently processing it. So I didn't see any errors here also. Ideally, if there is something wrong with that file, you will be able to see what is the reason and why it got failed. Here you were able to see first of all the status is failed, but here it's not failed. So if you want to validate the pipeline load, you can just validate it and we'll see end of the record reach while exception to parse column customer. Okay. Rejected records, nothing is there here also. See if it is something wrong with that file, something there is a syntax or something wrong with, it will show rejected records and it will show what is the failure reason also here, error also. So here it is saying like end of the record reached while expected to parse column customer name. Is it something wrong with this particular? You can't see anything here, right? Same, nothing only. So now let's go back on C. No, those two records are not processed. So here some error is showing is they're saying that parsing is not happening. So let me put some additional records. What is missing, we'll see. So here they're saying the name became end and they're not able to parsing this particular record, it seems. Why they're not able to parsing, we don't know. Okay, let me save this file again. I'm going to stage this particular file. File is staged. We need to wait for some time. So these are the kind of a common things when we are troubleshooting that issue. So now here we have received a kind of issue. So we don't know clue exactly, but from this validation, I can see it is saying some parsing is not happening for that particular entry. It might be some invisible characters or it might be something that particular record, whatever is there, that particular record from this particular file, it's not able to read it, especially customer name. So this particular thing, they're facing some issue. So why it's not able to parsing? What is the system is not able to understand here? We don't know. So if in case we have come across such kind of things, we need to exclude this particular record separately and you need to process it separately, and you need to identify the issue. Okay, so we'll wait for 1 more minute and we'll see this time this file will process or not. So I have already loaded that particular table into that particular stage. So we'll see those data will be loaded or not. If it is not if it is loaded, then there is something with respect to that particular record, and we need to exclude that particular record, and we need to try to reprocess it by seeing the data again. See, now it got processed. So 12, and here I have 8 records, right? 8 or 9. So total 20 records is processed successfully. So there is something wrong with this particular entry alone. There is some special character, there is some space extra, somewhere it might be causing the issue. 2 dots here we have. Rest all is same, right? Here maybe some extra line or new line will be there. That's where it's not processing. But anyways, fine. So now ideally, this is how the Snowpipe will process the data automatically, which means continuous data ingestion. So now how many times you are going to place the file into that particular stage, those many times automatically Snowpipe will pick up and will process the data into the Snowflake table. And this is how you can troubleshoot it. For suppose in middle, if you want to pass that Snowpipe execution, you can use this command. You can pass it, or again if you want to resume it, you can resume it. And whenever we create a task, by default it will be created in the suspend mode. We need to resume it as a first time. Please remember these all key points. This is the task history, and this is basically how many files you have loaded and what is the credit you have consumed for that. It will show. And what is the pipeline status? It is running currently or it is failed due to some error. You will be able to see here. And what file is processing also it will show here. And as I mentioned, if you are not using this particular Snowpipe, next 14 days, automatically the Snowpipe will become a stale. If you want to resume that stale pipeline, you need to use this particular command. Basically, you are manually, forcefully, we are triggering the Snowpipe. Even though it is stale, if you execute this particular command, force resume, automatically, it will resume the particular pipeline. So this is what about Snowpipe continuous data ingestion by using internal stages. Anybody has any queries, please let me know.
No, sir.
Okay. Good then.